divine guidance i få sontor få. Alla cui se fean lan, darawan, yu få, bandel su.
Hi, I'm Patricia McNair, your host of Divine Guidance with Patricia. If you are bursting to embrace and strengthen your connection to your divine guidance, your whole being, this is the show for you. Join me the first and third Wednesday of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Are you ready to discover the amazing gift of the universe that is you? On Divine Guidance with Patricia, Spirit and I will trigger you to embrace and validate the light that you are. On my show, I will bring you thought-provoking, inspiring messages designed to ignite a spark of spiritual awareness, the first step to becoming a whole being. Join me on Divine Guidance with Patricia and discover your gifts and awaken your true sense of self to embrace and empower your spiritual, mental, and emotional well-being. Divine Guidance with Patricia starts now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Divine Guidance with Patricia. Sometimes before the show, I'm listening to my own intro going, wow, she's kind of wise. I want to go see what she's got to say. Then I realize it's me. Anyways, what an amazing time to be alive. There's so much going down, but we're not really going to get into that today. But I'm just letting you know there's so much going down. Before we start the show, I want to put a little header out there for me because all my friends, family, and supporters say, Patricia, you never promote yourself. So I'm going to take 2 seconds to do that right now. And I'm going to say, if you want to be a guest on this show with me, then go to my website, divineguidance.org, go under shows and events, and I've got a cute little invitation and form for you to fill out. Gets to me. I've had at least a dozen people do that in the last month, and I'm now booked up until mid-January. So I've got some really neat, amazing people I don't even know yet coming on the show. And if you'd like me to be on your podcast, do the same thing. Go to my website, go to shows and events, and well, invite me on. I never stop talking, so we won't have dead air, and we'll have a lot of fun. I can talk about any topic you want to bring up. Okay, now, if you would like to sponsor my show, do the same thing. Give me a shout. Give me a holler. Let me know about your product. If it's something I can get behind and get passionate about, we'll spread the word real quick. So there you go. Enough about me. This is Patricia. So today I am a little bit nervous and a lot excited because I have a host as a guest, a host of Transformational Talk Radio. I can't believe it. And she's here with me today to spread her beautiful services, her insights, her knowledge, her wisdom, but also a really neat opportunity that I've jumped on board on. And it's so exciting. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Miss Peggy. She is the Coach Peggy show on Transformational Talk Radio. Hi, Peggy. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. Look at us starting with our amethyst. I happen to have on my desk. Thank you, though, for having me. I just love the chit chat. Anytime anybody's on a show or hosting or a guest, just like chill, grab your chaos cup, have a sip.
Your water.
But no, thank you so much for having me.
I look, the energy just between the emails that you and I had, because I was kind of, do I do this? Do I not? Because I'm always so cautious about finances and time and energy. But your emails coming back and forward to me, that's what lit me up. Your energy and your passion about helping everybody to be heard. And I kind of share that because my platform is for anybody and everybody that maybe can't share somewhere else. Give them that space to share. So I kind of felt that energy between you and I just in the emails, and I thought, wow, damn, can't wait to meet this girl.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Now we could talk for hours and hours, Peggy. I know we could about TTR, and about all the wonderful things that happen here on this network and all the divine beings that promote, that encourage, that share our passion and our dream, and get us forward and move us forward. But I don't want to go into too much. Pat, Jess, Jacob, Sierra, y'all know we love you. Okay. With that said, I am curious to know how you started with Transformational Talk Radio and how it's transformed your life.
That's a great, boy. I don't think anybody's asked me that in several hot minutes. That's awesome. It's truly before I go into kind of this, it feels woohoo-ish, right? Eastern medicine, because I have been so much in the Western world, but inside I always had this spiritual connection, and my mom always did. We always had this. And in 2017, that's what happened with Jessica and myself, because you have to be really careful what you put out in the universe. Because I mean, what are you going to do with it if it happens? Hang on. So I moved away from Colorado and moved to Florida, which is where I always wanted to be. My kids are grown. I said, come visit me. I'll come see you once in a while. But once I moved here as an entrepreneur and starting my own virtual coaching business and wellness retreats and some corporate stuff, I soon realized about a year and a half in that I couldn't do it all myself. Because really, when you come away from 25 years in corporate America and, middle management, you're always helping the employees and helping the leadership try to understand each other. Not only is it exhausting, but almost never do you get the credit of all the beauty that middle management does. And so I had some bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, I'm done. I've been doing that a long hot minute. I'm leaving. But about a year and a half into doing this on my own, I started to realize, wow, there's no space for me to get sick, me to get injured. I'm my own accountant and marketing and running my own retreats. It was exhausting. Like I was to the place where I was like, you came out here to be outside and you're not even doing that. So it's hysterical. I've told this story a million times. I've written about it, but this is me. Sundress on, laying on the back lanai, 2017. And I look like Jesus in 2017. My arms are spread. I look like Jesus in a sundress. And I'm just laying there, arms out, and I just started praying. I said, I cannot do this all. I don't want to fail. This is my passion. Please let me keep helping people help themselves. But I need help, but I didn't trust anybody. And so I just said the piece that the marketing thing for me was a learning curve, right? Building things, right? Gag. I hate cold calls. I hate selling myself. I like to do it naturally and just have it happen. So I knew it was that piece, increasing my social media platform, that I didn't have the time or the energy and the desire to do. Whatever.
I can so relate right now.
Right. Everyone can who's listening. Yeah. And so I was just laying there and I said, okay. And I was really cautious. I'm always cautious of what I ask for, very specific. And I just said, I need somebody in my neck of the woods that I trust, that has my higher good in mind, that is going to protect me, that isn't going to take advantage of me. This was morning. That night I went to go to my bed and my computer was right there. Jessica's going to be laughing. Sierra, you don't even know this story. So my computer is open and I look at my email. It's like 11 something at night or something. And it says something catchy like, can't believe we came across you, or you're just so something like whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to open it up even though I should be going to bed. And it was like, dear Peggy, da, 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 da. I've watched so many of your videos and your vibrant energy. And I'd love to talk to you about Jessica with one S. This was me. Dear Jessica with one S. You're so funny. Like, blah, 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 whatever. Sure. And long story short, I'm like, okay, let's meet tomorrow. And we set up the time. And then it's over. I started doing, not only did I sign up and, start my own radio show at that time, was called Coach, Couch and Coffee. That was my first show. But then in 2018, I worked for a full year with Dr. Pat as my business coach and kind of personal coach. And I'm talking like 1 year. Wow. Painstaking. She knows I love her, but it was mutilating soul, spirit, everything. It was really, really hard. And they also helped me build my website and just, and it's for you guys listening, I would say as entrepreneurs, especially who love what they do, it will consume you. right? Because we love it. And then you'll eat, drink, and sleep it and all of that. And you just really do have to sit back and spend the money, even though you don't have it there for people to help you, because ultimately you're going to either get ill or injured, or you're going to start to dislike what you actually love because you're exhausted. So yeah, that's how I met them. And Dr. Pat really, I think she was a visionary and where she saw me going. You know, just real quick, one of the exercises that she had me do was, you know, the past, the present, and the future. And I'm telling you, I'm an A student, which, you know, but big poster boards. One was the past, one was the present, one was the future. And it said, I am at the top. And I was supposed to write whatever colors, whatever I'm supposed to do. I thought I did a great job. And I bet she beat me up on that for 2 months. Mm-hmm. Like to the point where I was sitting forward and I was like, don't tell me who I am. I know who I am. And she's like, no, actually you don't. But right. So I would say that makes TTR super unique is doing this from their heart. And that's what keeps everybody coming in there. Honestly, that was a lot. That was a lot.
It was great. Sounds like, you know, I don't know. I think if we had a time, or we could put together a collage, like a online collage of the house, and how, you know, the naming of the network is so true, because
cool.
it has transformed every single one of us in such a unique way. So hats off to TTR, Dr. Pat, Jessica with 1 S, and the rest, because you're awesome. All right. So your show is on when, love?
The second and the fourth Wednesdays of the month at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
There you go. Awesome. Hey, that's the same time as me, and I'm the first and the third Wednesday. How do we match up?
I caught on that.
Did we ever?
I caught on to that. That's funny. Yeah.
That's too. You can't write this stuff, right? It happens. Okay. So now let's hear a little bit about yourself. You moved from major corporations and awards and achievements, and took that peanut brittle step to be an entrepreneur. Now, I've taught entrepreneurship for over 30 years. So I've watched a lot of people go in and out of their own thing. Right. And let's just say the plumber's pipes never get fixed, because I am very critical of myself and my business, because I teach it. So let's take a look at that dive, and what made you get into that dive before we go to the break.
Okay, so the dive into entrepreneurship after working for somebody who signed my paycheck for design.
Your own thing.
Yeah, I just as a lead-in, just briefly, I think the main thing for me was, you know, I'm not one of those big words of affirmation, need a pat on the back, that type of stuff. But I was so passionate about every job I had. It was beautifully aligned. It just happened to maneuver maybe once I got there, that I always had personal training and nutrition and mindset stuff. It always swirled around me forever. So I think for me, I was so exhausted of the 100-hour weeks in the face of something I truly did endorse and believe in, but I was exhausted. I couldn't set those boundaries, much like anybody else out there. And I just wanted to do me. I wanted the flexibility, the diversity, to be able to travel. So I think majority of people eventually get to that place as an entrepreneur, and then we start and we stop, we start and we stop, you know, the serial entrepreneur. But that is what led me here initially. So breaking away.
Yeah. So yeah, it's almost like a bad relationship. You know, you don't want to be there anymore, but oh yeah, I'm gonna go there tomorrow. Oh no, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna jump back here. See. All right. So I think we're gonna lead into our first break. We'll come back. We'll share a little bit of who and what you are today, and then we'll get into this opportunity for everyone that's listening. Okay, Sierra, take it away, love. I got caught. Isn't that fun? Hi, everyone. How you doing? We're back. Just be natural. All right. So we're back with Miss Peggy, beautiful, beautiful host of TTR, doing her show. I've watched a couple, and and I really need her help. So we'll probably be talking a little bit more because we need a little bit more for the physical body. I've always never tapped into that as much as I've tapped into the spirit. So that's one of my weaknesses. And of course, we're focusing on solutions for the whole being here. So maybe Peggy and I will get together and come up with something really unique for everyone. So Peggy, let's take a look at who and what you have transformed into now. Who's Peggy today? What services do you offer? And what's your passion to do to work with people right now?
Awesome. Well, let me start with one of my biggest ahas in the last couple of years, probably last year, is one of the things that I realized is that we all have our personal resume, not just our professional resume, but our personal resume. And to me, when somebody's really passionate and they're aligned with their purpose, they lean forward, they have that energy, you see the whites in their eyes. And it doesn't matter if you are driving a school bus or if you're a CEO or if you're, an author, but I always look for that. And then I'm like, whoa, what's that right there? What's that conversation we're having? Or what are you thinking about? And that shifts, whatever it is. But when you can lean into that and then spend your time helping others, help others, that energy and without any expectation of it cycling around, because it always does. You focus on doing good, you focus from your heart. So in the last year, it's very opposite of my whole career. My whole career for over 30 years was very much trying to prove to everybody what my services are, why, we can do this and these are the results and this is the solution and I'm going to change your life and look at my team. And it was this, but it wasn't this. You know what I mean? Like,
Got it.
So like in the last 2 years, when I really started to want to do my writing and get my writing out there and had conversations and started listening to other authors, I was like, whoa, that's actually what I've been doing for 40 years is gathering stories. I have a million stories of clients and customers and testimonies that in my profession, being HIPAA, not wanting, have any HIPAA violations, those weren't my stories to tell unless we had pseudonyms all over the place and that removes the transparency, the authenticity of a story when I can't say, hey, Joan, let's go, or Joan Sanders, let's go. So for me in the last couple of years was really realizing that my life resume, all of the things I've done personally. And then my professional resume is me. I'm my own brand and I'm not for everybody. I always say that I'm not, and that's okay. Move out of the line because the path is full. So I would really say the way I got here today, and one of the biggest messages I want to leave out there is that you can't ignore all the beautiful ups and downs, failures, successes, whatever you want to call them that you've had, because you're here right now. For me, what do I want to do for the rest of these years? Shape, shift, and pivot, with that same energy. And now I really feel like I'm the vessel versus the force. I'm not the force of going, do those squats, or let's get the bottom line in your organization in the black. It's exhausting. So now I can be the vessel to share those stories and just get them out there and with you. I mean, that's what we're doing. The compilation books I've worked on, I've edited multiple books behind the scenes for people and then doing my own book and my children's book I just did. I'll tell you what, girl, talk about having to cleanse your body after you listen to some of these stories. But that's the blessing. Oh my gosh, is having these stories, listening and acting on them. So that's where I am today after a lot of, years of just doing all sorts of things. It just got me where I am today. That's it.
No, that's amazing because we all know that the soul has all our memory. And so a lot of people now are recognizing the connection to finding out their memory. And I don't just mean their past lives, because usually it's not given in that way, but that's for another day. I'm a little different. I'm not cookie cutter spirituality, and I'm totally stand up rebel activist about, the illusions and the lies of the writings and the teachings that's been handed down to distract us from actually knowing we are divinely, beautifully powerful, automatically connected, beautiful beings here, and we're kicking ass and taking numbers. So
Amen.
just for everybody out there who wants to stick with the same stuff, go for it. I love you. That's you're doing. But Spirit's pushing me in the last, especially 4.5 months, pushing me to get this new higher teaching of Earth out. And so I'm actually looking for somebody to help me with the marketing and that. So any listeners out there, let me know, because this is where I'm going and this is where we're moving. So yeah, having that soul memory, you said like all you've been doing for years, and now you realize all of that, those pieces come together to make you more passionate, more going. And you said another word that really, really I love, because a lot of people are seeing it, feeling it, hearing it, not doing it.
Yeah, shape shifting, pivoting, all of
Gotta
that.
have the divine action. Divine action, simple.
Absolutely.
If you don't do it, you're just sitting here memorizing about it, right? So,
Absolutely.
all right. So, what are some of the services that you offer, Peggy, before we get into this? Because once we get into this next part, you know we're not going back, right?
I'm very aware of it. I know my heels. This is the thing. I keep heads up to anyone who cares, but my website is so all encompassing of everything I do. And I've worked extensive hours with Jessica over the years, who is, I will never go away from her because she gets me. Like I could literally AI, she could AI me all day long. Just put my face on her and she could just talk and she
love it.
But so my playground, which is really what I call my website, my playground is I made a decision not to turn off some of those menu items that I don't do anymore, or those services that I don't provide anymore, because they are me. And if somebody contacts me because of whatever, then it's going to shift into whatever else. So on my website, you will find all the coaching packages that I've done in the past: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, certifying coaches. You can still contact me about all of that, but do I have an open coaching practice right now? No, I shut it down last year after about 30 years to focus on this writing piece of it. Doesn't mean I still don't coach. No, because my kids hate me about that, but it's part of who I am. But I just do it in a different way. So there are all sorts of things that you can see on there. I got testimonies on there, obviously, different coaching packages. Still reach out, because it doesn't mean we can't have a conversation of my trademark wellness tool or why I use that, or I can push you in another direction. But mainly, once I became all things wellness, Peggy all things wellness, and directed myself that way in 2018, which was part of my work with Dr. Pat. I do think, you guys, it is important to have a mentor, a physician you trust, an energy worker you trust, a massage, whoever it is you trust. And if you don't move on, you're the customer, move on, it's fine. But once I had that trust with Dr. Pat, it was a very love-hate relationship. She'll tell you that as well. But one of the things that was hard for me to transition over for coaches, for medical professionals or whatever, I really came from the old school of like, this is your professional hat. Shut up, put up. You don't want to say your weaknesses, right? Because you're trying to help them, and surely you know what you're doing. So why would you sit here and say you haven't eaten for 2 days? So it was the best example I can give, that I've gotten 2 of them. One day she said to me, "You don't tell stories. You're not a storyteller." Oh, I think that was one of the videos I cried on. I was like, "Oh no, you didn't." And she said, "No, you're not." And she said, "Let me tell you why. You can go on all day long about the things that you've done business-wise, how you've helped others, but you're not connecting your stories and bringing authenticity. You can say through stories what you've done versus saying what you've done." So for example, in 1989 I was in Europe, and that's where I got my first personal training certification. So here's the example. "Peggy, are you a personal trainer?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, when was your first certification?" 1989. That might be how I answered that question back then. So she gave me an example, and she said, in 1989, I was in Germany for 4 years working for the government, and that's where I got my first personal training certification, which then evolved to where, and I'm looking at her going, And she said, that's how you meld what you really do, where you were, why you're passionate about it. So that was one of the biggest takeaways.
Put you in it without you overthinking.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
amen. And then the second example that sticks out is we were working on an elevator speech, which, Patricia, shut up. I mean, elevator speech me to death. I can't. One more person ever asked me to do that. I'm like 30 seconds. I don't even know what I'd tell you to do on an airplane ride, who I am on an airplane ride. But she looks at me, and she at this time had my future chart. I want to write a book. I want to have a public forum of speaking. And this was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So I want to have one, I want to write one. I want to publish one book. This is what she said. She said, why are you limiting yourself? She said, this is what you say. And I use this to this day. I want to be a multi-best-selling author of books across the world and create the largest platform possible to share my own stories and stories of others. I want it to come easily and continuously.
Can I use that? Can I use that right there?
Isn't that beautiful? And
Yes.
I realized at that point in time, the limits I was putting on myself, the ceilings that I have a hard time in the past of breaking through, because I would just get there. I'm the chaser. I would just get to that level of success and see that, it's like being in the deep end of a swimming pool, and you come up and there's ice there all of a sudden. I always felt like there was that, like I couldn't get through. And that just made me realize the words multi. Why would I say one book? So that's the other thing I really want people to listen to, is to realize there are no boundaries. You set this up. Sometimes, honestly, too, Patricia, people see it before you do. They can see that talent and expertise and energy you have, and you're like, what? But you've got to trust them. Have people in your circle you trust, and then it's easier.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, so leading into the experience that we're here today talking about, I want to put it out there that I have talked about, and your words you just shared hit home to me personally. I don't hide anything. I'm as vulnerable as dog laying on his back. Doesn't matter to me, because I like to be real. And so your words hit me because I have been told many times I'm going to write multiple books. I thought it'd be great if I wrote one, and couldn't never make up my mind. I've got 3 different ones in my head, plus 2 kids' books. And I've gone as far as finding illustrators for the kids' books. And I've gone as far as, knowing the titles for my books. But one thing that this show has taught me is that people do want to hear what I have to say. And that just surprised the hell out of me, right? Like, what am I saying that others, 1,000 people aren't saying? But what I'm saying is not what they're saying. So I had to recognize the fear that in my being, that I'm bringing forward something that is going to scratch the surface of everybody. It really is. And it's not that I want to be a troublemaker, but I've always been that way. I've always brought forward information from spirit that nobody really wanted to hear.
Right.
And, it was always balked at. So now I've got to grow up, put not just my big girl panties on, but my nanny panties on and get her done. So jumping into this opportunity with you was also initiated by our dear Jessica. And I have to say, it was brought forward during the first book. And there was no way in Halifax that I was breaking through my own self to get there. This one, I'm jumping over that hurdle, jumping over that cave, I'm splashing my feet in the waters of new life, and I'm going to do this to the best ability of my experience with this. And this will open the doors for many things for me, because I am a storyteller. I am a sharer of spirit. I am a contagious creator energy that is not willing to stop, sit down, or shut up and mind my business. I'm here to do that connection. And so that's my passion. Absolutely my passion. So this being a part of your beautiful experience, it means the world to me. It's like another step, like Dr. Pat was to having this show. You're my next step to where I'm going, Peggy. So without giving it away too much, and I can't share it the way you do. What is this experience we're talking about? And let's just give a teaser before we go to our next one. Okay.
Absolutely. The best teaser I can give you is Marcus Vetstein, who's an endocrinologist. I actually opened up and set up his clinic in 2009 in Colorado. I ran his medical office and we became very, very good friends, brothers, sister. I mean, very good friends, connected from second one. Long story short, go ahead 10, 12, 13 years. We've had multiple projects together and things along the way, but I kept saying to him, I want to write a book with you. I want to write a book with you. And initially, the book was going to be about his patient success and some of my clients' successes. And then what I realized about a year and a half ago, got back in touch with him and I said, we're going to create this opportunity for anyone out there to tell any of their stories that are inspirational, motivational, authentic, real, their words. We're going to give them a platform. We're going to do 3 books, all things wellness book series based on heart, spirit, mind, and body with no parameters. But give me 2,000 words and let me sprinkle the heck of dustings on your cupcake and let's go. And now we're doing the 3rd book that you're going to be a part of.
Yes, I am. So right after this break, we'll get back into sharing more about this success of the first 2 books and what we're looking at for the 3rd book. So we'll be right back. Welcome back. So, an hour goes so fast. I say this every show, and so do my guests. It's like, where'd this hour go? So I'm going to give it up back over to Peggy to explain more about this opportunity. There are some spots available, so listen carefully and contact Peggy or myself to be a part of this opportunity. I'm not letting anything financially, psychological, spiritual, I'm not letting anything stop me from doing this new step. So
yeah,
over to you, Peggy.
I'm so excited. First of all, thank you so much. The first book of this series, this compilation series, this Chicken Soup of the Soul series, those of you who know what that is from 25 years ago. Yeah. Compilation books, multi-author books aren't new. They're not new. The difference that I do believe ours has is Dr. Marcus and I utilize some of our experience in putting content throughout the book. So the book is based on my trademark wellness wheel, which has 24 spokes in it in 4 quadrants: heart, spirit, mind, and body. And the reason I created that wheel and trademarked that wheel is I really do not believe the rest of the world understands. I got preachy. That there are more areas in your life that you need to think about than doing squats and eating kale. Like, are you folding your laundry? Have you talked to your mom? Have you had your teeth cleaned? Have you read your Bible? Those spokes in your life, you have to look at all of them. So the coaching of that tool, and Marcus uses it with his patients as well, that's what weaved into this book. So what's beautiful about it is when you talk about storytelling in general, we've been listening to stories since we were in the womb, when our parents read to us. We started reading ourselves all through our lives. Our school system tells us what to read. We have our Harlequin romances. Most movies are based on stories. But the reason stories are so important is because we connect to the characters, we connect to the emotion, we connect to the experiences. Whether you have had mental health issues and wanted to hurt yourself, you will connect to that documentary. That's why I believe a book like this with 30 to 40 authors, 30 to 40 experiences, different perspectives, sometimes even of the same exact, I got divorced, has a million perspectives to that. Right? Mm-hmm. Who was involved? What happened? So in these books, which you guys can find on my allthingswellness.com website under the authors tab, there are multiple projects that have either been completed or are still going. The Wellness GPS is the 3rd book of this series. The 4-fold formula is out there. James Redfield wrote the foreword. When the Wellness War was bestseller. That just got published in September, and Dr. Teta wrote the foreword for that. This third book is going to be released next June-ish. And the foreword is being written by Joe DeMio, who is the first successful face and dual hand transplant recipient. He's only 25 years old. He's a brilliant soul. And so these books bring together all these stories. If you guys would like to be a part of it, all you have to do is write a story that you think no one will read, and write a story you think everyone will read. And what I mean by that is when you write like no one will read it, that's where you're transparent. That's where you're authentic. That's the journal that you think you're going to burn before you die. So you write, right? You write like no one's going to read it. But I ask you to write like everyone would, because when someone reads that, you are going to change a life. You are going to save a life. You are going to get somebody out of domestic or leave their corporate job. So write it for yourself, be authentic, tell your perspective, because everyone's is different. And then on the other side of it, think of who's picking that dang thing up. Because that I can witness, tell you right now, these stories change lives, and everyone has a story to tell. You brought up something I wanted to come back and circle back to in regards to, all these things that you want to publish, and children's stories and titles and things. You guys, we think that time's going to go along and then I will. And then after this, then I will. And then I'll write this book. And then doesn't ever happen. It just doesn't if you don't make it happen. When you come together in a compilation book like this, and you can go find your other ones to be a part of, I'm saying chase them down if you think you want to be an author or you have been. Why? Because you're experiencing something with 30 other people that you learn from, you collaborate from. I've got business opportunities, things that are going on I would have never suspected. And a compilation book, or even come blog for me. Email me and let me know if you want to blog for me. Get your feet wet, and then you can step out. Because, somebody might go, ugh, I did not know writing was hard. I did not want to write a book. But so that's why I got wrapped up in this. And then the Unsheltered project, you guys, is a global, it's gotten out of control. It's a Voices from the Street compilation book I'm writing with Dennis Pitoko. And those are stories from those who are homeless or unsheltered, or who have been, or if you know someone, or if you're an organization that work with them. Yeah, Sister C, I need a story for that. There is no investment to be in that story. It's gotten global attention. We're gathering stories for those right now. If you're interested, go onto the website again under the authors tab. There is an Unsheltered. Click on Unsheltered, the landing page. You can be on our team. This is a For Good project where everything is being donated back to certain organizations. But you write a story, and if you're a media partner, reach out. Like, we have a big team going on, and I'm just like the assistant deputy secretary of HUD, David Berenbaum, is writing the foreword.
Wow.
But it's global, because Japan's homeless is a little different than LA.
Yes.
And so that's another project we're having fun with.
Great. Okay, so the GPS stands for
Get prepared for success.
Get prepared for success. Now, I can't remember what the first one was about, but this one here is the one for me. And I'll tell you why. Because GPS for me sends off following divine guidance. Right? So, so that's going to be part of that, and some of the funny situations you find yourself in when you follow divine guidance, right? You can say you are, but are you? Right? So some of that's going to be in there, and some magical things that happen just by being me and follow my GPS with creators. So that's what my story is going to be about. Just a little hint, folks. You have to gonna read it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And all of them, I'm an acronym queen of America. I mean, if I can come up with an acronym, I swear to God. But all three books still used, the 4 quadrants, and the book is laid out that way. That's the way the chapters are. You can write about anything, and we plunk you in the right kind of chapter. That isn't what you need to figure out. content for this particular book is winding down the series, where it's like you get in your car and you dial that address in and you think you know where you're going and you hope you get there. But with the detours or the traffic or a blowout in your car, like how are you going to be prepared? Are you resilient enough in your health and wellness to go, oh my God, I have a slow leak or a blowout? And how did you then go from here to here or to here, or decide you don't even want to go there? So that's technically what the layout of the land is going to be with the content.
Well, what hit me the most was, number one, because I've always been for years now struggling with the idea of doing a couple books. One is The Butcher, the Baker, the Candlestick Maker, because everybody who's gone through past life regressions been kings and queens. Where's the rest of the people, right? So that's going to be based on that. The other one is Say Hello to Your Soul, and it's going to have a workbook with it, because if you do that for 2 weeks, and you say good morning and you say good night to yourself and recognize and honor your whole being, your life will change automatically.
Awesome.
The other thing I want to say is that I looked up a consultation for some sort of, finding out how to go forward and write the story, let alone find somebody to publish it, whatever. And it was well over $300 to $1,500 just to have an hour consultation. And so your opportunity was $600 to be an authorized certified author, and to actually go through that experience with you and your team, have
Right.
that feedback, have that experience, only 2,000 words to worry about instead of a whole book. And it's almost like being on training wheels and in sacred space to realize, even if it's just to tell me that I can do it, and
Exactly.
open me up to that's well worth it.
Well, and the other thing is, if you are a business, check with your accountants out there, because in most all the cases I've worked with, this is an investment. This is your marketing, your bio's in the book, your photos in the book, your contacts are in the book. We offer, all my media partners will come at you and offer you interviews. You can talk about your business, you can gain your clients. So stepping into this is much more than going, oh, what am I going to get out of it? You're going to get discounts on your book, and you can make whatever profit you want. The good thing about the publisher that I sought out and I work with is a hybrid publisher, and I can tell you why I chose that.
Okay.
Everyone's self-publishing. Okay. It's a challenge. You can learn the hoops. You can go along and do it. Absolutely. But the credibility and the experience, and not having that as part of the book, you do get muddied up out there. There's a lot of self-publishing. I stayed away from the big box houses because it's between $20,000 and $30-ish thousand. Then you have the marketing team over here you have to have. Then you have the agent over here. Then guess what? They keep your content. Many of them end up owning your content and you don't. The hybrid publisher I work with, who I also edit for, so I have a close relationship, so that's why I'm saying it, is she never owns it. I own it, because listen, all of my authors can use their 2,000 words. They can break them up into blogs. It can be a chapter in their own book. They can use it for a podcast to read, to learn from. They can pick up the book and read the book for podcasts or shows that are everybody else's stories. I own it. It doesn't matter. Everybody owns their stories. So, and in addition to all of this, you guys, if you want to be a part of this story, this book, we have a private Facebook group where we can get to know each other. You have an opportunity to be published in my publisher's next book. So that gives you 2-time author on there, Daily Gifts of Hope. And as I said, the interviews, blog for me, all sorts of benefits. All of that is also on the website. Click on Wellness GPS on the side there, kind of getting to know, learning more, and you'll see all the benefits listed there. But yeah, I hold my baby birds and then you can go. But if you've also been an author, Patricia, of several books out there, let's say you've written 10 books, this is an opportunity to dust it off. This is an opportunity to either repurpose something, or when you're in these interviews, say, oh, hey, by the way, I published 4 books back in 1999. So use it as an opportunity to dust off, or a piece of swag if you're speaking somewhere, meaning, hey, I want to speak at your event this week. And guess what? I've got some books that we can both share the profits on in the lobby. It gives you an extra hook into some of the speaking events by having been published.
I love all of that. And I want to give a shout out. I've had 2 sponsors come forward with a little bit of funds to help me to do this because they really want to hear and see me do this.
Perfect.
One is wanting to actually come in and do this with us. So that's amazing. That's exciting because I always believe in paying it forward or doing it forward somehow. I've got so much to say and we got 3 minutes, so I better stop. For more information, go to Peggy's website. Check it all out. Email me, email Peggy. Let's work it out. I would love to do this experience with everybody. I would just love to have everybody sit down around a great big ocean somewheres with the drums playing and the bells playing, the sun shining, and everyone sharing the 2,000 words. Oh, what a dream.
And the reason we picked 2,000 words is because if you don't quite get to that place, it's blog-ish, right? And it's not deep enough to really, that's something I also want to say to you guys is that not a lot of editors, and I'm not doing this, but I'm doing this for a hot minute because then you know how sincere I am. I will go back and forth with my authors to make sure it is their voice. It is their verbiage. It's the way, I don't care if there's 14 very, V-E-R-Ys, politically, I mean, you know, editorially incorrect, sure. But if that's Patricia's voice, we're going to go with that because you have to tell your stories. It's the only way the world is going to connect. We're sick of self-help books. We're sick of to-dos. We're sick of reading things that people have done, cookie cutter things they've done. Tell your story. We all are doing it every day, every single day, whether we're talking to our producer, Sierra, on how she got to work about traffic. It's a story.
It's also the traditional way of sharing from all the First Nations around the whole world, and it's been stopped. Their story hasn't been shared. So why don't we lift up our voices by sharing our story and encourage them to share theirs? So I'm going to hand it to you, Peggy. You got 1 minute. Thank you for being on the show. See you next week, everyone. And here's Peggy.
Hey, you guys, just remember, there's no judgment when you're telling your story and it's your perspective. You can lead into telling your stories by being very, very respectful. You can say, hey, Mom, I understand you didn't see it this way when I was growing up, but guess what? I did. And I need to do this cathartically for myself, even if it means I didn't understand. Because guess what, you guys? There's a story there. If Mom didn't see something the way you didn't, talk about it and share that story, because probably 15 million other people misunderstood their mother or their child as well. So tell your stories. Let's change the world. Chop, chop. Let's go. Email me at peggy@allthingswellness.com or hop on my website, allthingswellness.com.
Love you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Divine Guidance with Patricia on transformationtalkradio.com with me, Patricia McNair. Tune in next time to explore more challenges that can help you achieve your whole being. I know we are all capable of truly being whole, and with a little empowerment, anyone can access an entire universe of knowing that is just waiting to be explored. For more information about me and my services, visit divineguidance.earth. That's divineguidance.earth. See you next time, where together we focus on solutions for the whole being.